the Phoenix, Arizona weather discussion. This is for Wednesday, the 7th of September. I'm Michael Groff. Thank you for joining me once again. We're here live. And the big story again today, the heat. Temperatures up in the excessive heat criteria, approaching records in some spots. But then the weather pattern really starts to change, and a lot of things with our forecast over the next several days will be contingent upon the eventual track of and what will happen with the moisture from Hurricane K and its remnants thereafter. And so the good news is, one thing we can be fairly confident in is that temperatures will cool off around here to below average levels for at least a couple of days. And there will be that chance of rain, although the bulk of the precipitation is expected to be out across Southern California and perhaps far southwest Arizona. Okay, so there is a lot to talk about. Let's dive in, shall we? Taking a look at that almanac from yesterday. 110 degrees the afternoon high, 87 was the morning low, the normal high 103, the normal low 81, almost 3 inches behind on rainfall, and those days are getting shorter. That is good to see. Looking outside right now here at 9:20 a.m., sunny sky in Phoenix, but someone let the swamp in, 92 degrees at Sky Harbor. Look at that dew point up at 70. It's going to feel like a punch in the face when you step out there. Relative humidity 49%, wind from the west at 10 miles per hour, and the barometer is rising. All right, the upper air weather pattern here across the west is dominated by a ridge. Look at that thing just sitting to the north of Arizona. And upper heights under there, about 597 to 599 decameters, a near record for early September. And as a result, all kinds of records are being broken out here across the western states. But the good news is that ridge is going to break down over the next several days. It's going to take some time, but that heat dome, at least for our part of the country, is going to be alleviated thanks to that moisture from K coming on in here. But I told you it was hot. How hot was it? Look at this. Yesterday, downtown Sacramento, 116 degrees, an all-time record for the city. And the hottest temperature we've had in Phoenix this summer here in 2022 has been 115. So believe it or not, Sacramento, California has beaten us for the summer, something I never thought I would see. And in fact, I looked through records this morning. I haven't completely looked through all of the data going on as far back, but so far, that has never happened as far as I can see. I'm going to investigate that further. Meanwhile, how about 112 degrees at Modesto, 115 in Stockton, Northern California, just sizzling. And guess what? It's going to happen again today. We've got excessive heat warnings and heat advisories from Southern California all the way up through those valleys of Central and Northern California, the Great Basin, the Pacific Northwest, the Intermountain region. And here in Phoenix, we are under the gun again for an excessive heat warning through 8 p.m. this evening. Convective outlook for today, the standard slight risk of severe storms up around Nampa, Boise, Caldwell, Idaho, as well as Billings, Montana, the marginal risk for the adjacent states and a marginal risk for parts of the Texas coastal plain as well. All right, let's check those tropics. First, in the Atlantic Basin, things kind of active here. We've got 4 areas of concern, a couple of waves, one just about to come off the African coast, another one out there in the eastern, approaching the central Atlantic. That wave is expected to gain latitude and not impact anyone. That easternmost wave, who knows? It's still way too early to call. Then we've got a pair of hurricanes, Danielle and Earl. First, let's talk about Danielle. This is up here in the North Atlantic. It is a fish storm. It's not affecting anyone. This is going to loop-de-loo and pirouette out here, and eventually this is going to start to weaken as it approaches Western Europe, Spain, and Portugal. This should become post-tropical and not impact anyone significantly anyway. Maybe some rain for parts of Spain and Portugal, and that's going to be about it from that. Earl is out here, and this is going to pass just east of Bermuda, perhaps as a major hurricane, approaching Category 3 or stronger with time. But then it will go up into the North Atlantic, become post-tropical. Now, in our part of the world out here in the East Pacific, all focus is on K, a hurricane now, Category 1. And that is sitting down here to it's actually Category 2, as it's down here to the southwest of Cabo San Lucas. And this system is expected to hug the west coast of the Baja, according to the official forecast from the National Hurricane Center. And then as it approaches Southern California, this will run into that blocking ridge, even though it's weakening, and start to push it off more toward the west. What happens after that, and with its moisture and everything else, is still anyone's guess. Looking at modeling coming from the GFS Ensemble, pretty much follows the official forecast track from the Hurricane Center. The Euro is a little further to the west, and some of our other models have some more ridiculous outcomes. But for the most part, this is the good call. And then this system just sort of sits out here and toilet bowls around off of the northwest coast of Baja for a while. Its moisture and its circulation may have further implications on our weather down the road. But again, we really don't know that. We'll just have to wait and see. Needless to say, it's going to be a challenging forecast. Speaking of, this is a look at the precipitation around here for the next 7 days coming from the WPC. Rain amounts in Phoenix, generally under 1/4 of an inch, but heavier totals now expected across Southern California, perhaps into southwest Arizona, 1 to 4 inches out that way. And some of those outer bands from K will come up there starting on Friday into Saturday. Maybe some gusty winds out there as well. Now, could we see some locally heavier rain here in south central Arizona? Probably not, but it's not completely 100% out of the question because moisture levels are going to be coming up into the extreme level. And we'll detail that and everything else in modeling right now. Let's get out to it and have a look. This is the GFS, the 06Z run valid, 2 o'clock this afternoon. In the short term, this big sprawling ridge is our primary concern to the north of Arizona. Another day of just very hot temperatures. And there's K lurking down to the south. So what it means for us down to the surface, mostly sunny sky again today and just downright hot with high temperatures around 105 to 108. And if dew points manage to hold into the upper 60s and low 70s, it's going to feel incredibly oppressive out there. Tonight, becoming partly cloudy with lows mainly in the upper 70s to middle 80s. And then tomorrow, a lot more cloud cover around. We'll call it mostly cloudy. High temperatures fall back several degrees, upper 90s to about 104. And there's K moving up the west coast of Baja, approaching the spur by tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow night. And that moisture continues to move northward. Now, by Friday, the system takes a position south of San Diego, and the moisture is in full effect here. Now, we're going to start to see rain and isolated thunderstorms coming into Southern California and maybe far southwest Arizona, the outer bands from this system, even though it will be weakening. So some locally heavy rain and maybe some gusty winds out there. For us here in Phoenix, just a mostly cloudy, soupy, tropical day, what I call tropically stable. Yes, there could be some low-topped showers or maybe even a rumble of thunder, but for the most part, we're not going to see much in the way of significant precipitation. That will come at the initial burst or the outer reach of that initial push of tropical moisture on Thursday night and Friday morning. And then after that, we're just in the soup. And when I mean soup, look at this. These are the precipitable water values Friday evening here. Anywhere from 2 to 2.5 inches of precipitable water across south central, southwest Arizona and Southern California. And you just don't see that around here very often. And I liken this to, because I like to make everything about food, this is basically like a cake. Imagine you've put all these ingredients for a cake in the pan. You've put it in the oven, but there's no pilot light. That's what it's going to be like here in south central Arizona. All the ingredients are there, tons of moisture, and if even a small disturbance were to act on that, we could see some heavy rain, but it's just probably not going to happen. Just some isolated light, maybe a moderate shower or two. And then further to the west, that's where all the heavier rain with the circulation center of K will be. Now, high temperatures on Friday should lower somewhere into the middle 90s. Then for Saturday, now the circulation from K continues to weaken, but there'll still be some rain and thunderstorms out across Southern California, southwest Arizona. Widely scattered showers and storms still possible here in Phoenix, especially if we can get some breaks in the clouds. We get some sun, that might destabilize the atmosphere a bit. So we'll continue with a marginally unsettled forecast for both Saturday and Sunday. High temperatures still staying in the mid to perhaps upper 90s. Let's go to Monday. The circulation center from K just kind of sitting out there off of Southern California, northern Baja, maybe some more moisture around. An isolated shower storm possible here for both Monday and Tuesday. But that is still somewhat in fantasy land in terms of forecasting because we just don't know what's going to happen with that moisture. But for now, the safe call is just for an isolated storm possible. Now out to a week from today, Wednesday. This is the 14th of September. We've got broad baggy troughing sitting to the west of us, more of a southwesterly flow in here now, and that's going to start to dry us out. Temperatures pretty close to seasonal averages if that verifies. Then looking out 10 days, this is Friday, the 16th. And yeah, we still look dry here and no real signs of any monsoonal moisture pushing back in here. And we're getting to that part of the year now where the upper level flow pattern across North America is beginning to change, the westerlies sagging further to the south. And so it would be unlikely, although not impossible, for the monsoon to make any sort of significant return. Looking at rainfall for Phoenix, this is going out through the 21st of September, and this is coming off of the GFS ensemble. You got 31 members here. One of them shows nothing at all, and there's one that's way up there toward 3 inches or so, and then everything in between. The ensemble mean, I would really be surprised if we got that much precipitation over the next couple of weeks, because after this incident with Kay, it looks like we are going to enter into a prolonged period of drier weather. But you never know. These tropical systems, they have thrown us some curveballs before. As I mentioned yesterday, we talked about it. This system is following a similar path to Hurricane Norbert from back in 2014. And hey, we had a weak disturbance here over southern Arizona, and even though we didn't get a direct hit from Norbert, that moisture was acted upon by a weak upper low, and we had our wettest day ever here in Phoenix on September 8th, 2014. So anything is possible, I suppose. All right, let's look at the temperatures coming off the national blend of models. Yes, hot today, not quite so bad tomorrow, and then look at that. We are below average for a couple of days, and then temperatures hovering right around the century mark for the rest of the forecast period, which in mid-September is actually getting closer to the climatological average. So I believe our last day with where the normal high is at 100 degrees, I think that's on the 18th or 19th of September. But generally speaking, I think the 30-year average for the last 100-degree day is right at the end of September or the 1st of October. So we've got a ways to go before we can kiss those triple digits goodbye for the year. All right, that's going to do it for the Phoenix, Arizona weather discussion for today. My next video back here tomorrow morning. If you enjoy these videos, then be sure to subscribe, like, share, click that notification bell, leave those comments, questions, and suggestions. And if you are chatting in our live chat here, understand I cannot see it right now. I don't have that configured properly to be able to read it while I do these. I am going to set that up. That is coming. We're making the changes as we transition over to this new live format. It's still kind of experimental, but it's going pretty well so far. I haven't screwed up. Nothing crazy has happened just yet, but you know that is always a possibility. Anyway, music fans, if you want to check it out, well, of course you do, because it's just the best streaming station there could ever be. I'm talking about KMGX. We play a ton of music, have a lot of fun while doing that. Myself, and more importantly, my one and only Asian sensation, Michelle, involved in the programming and operation of that station. So do yourself a favor, check it out. I leave a link to it in the description. All right, thank you so much for watching. All of your continued support, it is immensely appreciated. You guys be safe, stay cool, stay hydrated out there, and have yourselves a glorious Wednesday.